What's up, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar, and I am joined here by a panel of wonderful folks, and we're ready to talk about some upcoming DC Omnibus Absolute Editions, Compendiums, and Deluxe hardcovers for the rest of the year and early 2022. As always, I like to stress the fact that these dates are suitable to change. And let's hope, knock on wood, that none of this stuff gets canceled. Although we do have one for sure cancellation in here and some iffy stuff. But before I go any further, I do want to thank my buddy Maddogg Marcus for putting all this together, for making the thumbnail, and for helping me along with doing this and researching. So much big shout out to you, sir. And where can people find you, Maddogg, when you're not hanging out with me?
Yeah, so when I'm not hanging out with you, you can find me watching your videos. So, you know, it's kind of like it comes full circle. But yeah, I've got my channel, Maddogg Comics. Just uploaded a room tour. So after you've enjoyed this stream, I definitely recommend going checking this out. But make sure that you're sticking here with us. And we've got our own Reddit page, the Maddogg Comic Community, where good stuff's always going on. But I just want to say thank you for having me on and for this opportunity again. I really enjoyed the Marvel one, so I've been looking forward to this one quite a bit. And I know a lot of people in the comments have as well.
I know people have been wanting us to do this since we did the Marvel one, so of course we're going to. It just takes a little bit longer to do the research and to put it together. And to my right-hand side here, who is this Norwegian assassin? Who are you, sir? Why are you here?
Why am I? That's a good. Why are any of us here? My name is Lars Pearson, and in a different lifetime, I worked for Wizard Magazine. I was the price guide manager for Wizard Magazine. I actually had the honor of being the first price guide manager for Wizard Magazine, which was kind of fun. And
what was the price guide manager? Were you in charge of making up imaginary prices for people to go and like kill each other over Spawn #1? Those kind of
yeah, no, exactly. If we'd been able to make up the prices, our lives would have been a lot easier. But we had to spend a lot of time. The problem is you have to give one price for something, and you have to sift through that the dynamics of what things sell for on eBay versus at a convention versus in a shop are kind of different. And you have to kind of take the same items selling at somewhat different levels and try to figure out a price for them that makes sense. So no, it was actually quite data-driven. But the job at times would get nuts because Wizard was so central to everything. At the time, the readership was about 225,000, which is much higher than any ongoing comic. So we couldn't really, it was weird because like, I have a journalism background. I actually come from a fact-based background. You try to do things fact-based, but anything you say, people, it's like a electric wire, people paying attention to. And you know, you and I were talking about when I came there, I felt that I can't remember when it was exactly, but I felt that like the price of Spawn 1 was just kind of a bit high. We had Spawn 1 at $17, and I was like, nobody's paying $17 actual dollars for a copy of Spawn 1. That's just nuts. And we were like, well, how many copies of Spawn 1 were printed? And the answer is like over 2 million, you know? So we're like, okay, so you could give a copy of Spawn 1 to every man, woman, and child in San Diego and probably have copies left over. I was like, nobody's paying $17 for Spawn 1. And so I was like, tell you what, let's drop the price from 17 to 15. And just see what happens, okay? Oh my God, I mean, I hate to exaggerate, but there was kind of a freak out. Because at the time, the thought of Spawn #1 going down at all ever was just completely unthinkable. And there was just kind of this reaction from the market. And I actually got 2 suicide notes from people going, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is crazy. I'm going to kill myself.
Because of dropping the price of Spawn #1?
Yes, because it seems so unthinkable. Now, the thing is, you're looking at these letters and you're thinking, well, wait a minute, you know, I mean, are they joking? They're probably joking. Right. What if they're not joking? What if they're not joking? They're probably joking. What if they're not joking? And so I emailed them and I go, weirdly, this was not the first time in my life I dealt with somebody threatening suicide. And so I said, okay, well, look, if you are joking, knock it the hell off. If you are not joking, tell me immediately so I can get you in contact with the suicide hotline. And they were joking. I'm like, Okay. Don't joke about such things. Don't joke about such. Of all the things you shouldn't kill yourself over anything, really, but certainly not over Spawn #1.
Man, I bet you. Okay, well, we'll have to get together again and talk about Wizard, because Wizard. I mean, to anybody that grew up in the '80s or late '80s, early '90s, and mid '90s, and all the way up until the end of Wizard magazine, I mean, they were a big part of comic book collecting.
Yeah,
they were huge. Like there were before we get started really quick though, there were always the snootier people that are like, oh, I only read Comic Buyer's Guide, I don't read Wizard magazine. But Wizard magazine was more accessible and easier to get into. Like, they had the pictures, they had the articles, they had the pull out posters, they had the variant covers, they had the unique, I always thought this was a cool idea, the Wizard half issues, like X-Men, Ultimate X-Men half, and you could only get it by mailing away something. So I thought that was a really cool thing. It was a big part of growing up, mainly, I guess, in the 90s when I think of Wizard magazine. And if you were a kid reading comics, you probably had a few Wizard magazines. So we will have to talk about that.
Yeah, we're here to talk about DC, but yes, that's who I am. I am of House Wizard. So thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started now that we got people here watching, and we're going to be looking at these. Again, huge shout out to Marcus for putting this together.
Yeah, it's no problem.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, of course, coming out this month is the Justice League New 52 Omnibus Volume 1. This is a big chunk of the Justice League New 52 when it was relaunched by Jeff Johns and, of course, Jim Lee. And Jim Lee isn't the only one on here, because I think he only lasted 12 issues, and he didn't even draw all 12 of those.
Yeah, I think he stopped at 9 and then came back for 12.
Yeah, I think Gene Ha helped out.
You had Ivan Reese take over from...
Yeah,
it was the Throne of Atlantis. This was like my bread and butter, this was. So I don't mean to kind of almost peak too soon, but I think this is my most anticipated omnibus, and it's the first one. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
What, Shonda? So come on now, DC Video, am I on the right channel? You're on the right channel, yeah. But yeah, I love Ivan Reyes. Like, his artwork is phenomenal on here. Like, when he takes over, like, he was great in Green Lantern, but I think his stuff here was just awesome, and it kind of made him a grade A artist. Like. And he was sought after. I'm not even sure what he's doing these days. Yeah, let's see. We got Batman by John Ridley. This is just stories by John Ridley, and this is the Deluxe Edition that's coming out at the end of the month.
John Ridley, of course, who is better known for 12 Years a Slave, I think, is his big.
Yeah,
he has a big career outside of comics. Yeah,
and he is the new. He was the new writer on Black Panther, I think.
I think.
Oh, nice.
With I think so. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think of who the artist is. I almost said John Romita Jr., but I don't think it's him. I think it's John Ridley. And man, I wish I could remember. But yes, you are right. I love that movie. Justice League of America Bronze Age Volume 3, a book that was previously canceled, put back in the catalog, canceled once again. And man, here we have Justice League of America finally coming out. We don't have physical copies yet, so anything's still possible, but I'm pretty sure this time it's coming out.
Well, this gives me hope there's going to be a Volume 4, which would cement the Justice League run from like the beginning up to the Justice League International era. And there'd be a ton of stuff in 4 that's never been collected. So this is a good step forward.
Yeah, this would take us to the Detroit era, right? If we get a Volume 4?
Yeah, I would imagine Volume 4 would fill it into the Detroit era, yeah.
So a lot of people were speculating that this book was canceled because we had the wedding of Gene Lorning and all that. There were a couple of other deluxe editions that were coming out, and people were like, oh, this is taking the place of the omnibus. But it is finally coming out. And we're going to be talking about what the omnibus we're excited about the most is. Fourth World by John Byrne. Now, this stuff has never been collected. This is the 90s John Byrne, late 90s John Byrne stuff. But the thing I'm most excited about here is the Genesis 1 through 4. I don't think anyone else is excited about that. But it's an event at DC, and it crossed over everywhere. It was in Aquaman, it was on Superman, it was everywhere. And the event has never been collected. So if you're an event collector, you would have to buy an omnibus just to get Genesis. It's never been available in trade paperback format.
No. Now, as exciting as this is, the thing they missed here, I feel, is John Byrne's OMAC. And
somebody else mentioned that.
Yes, I know it's not Fourth World, but it's still John Byrne doing a Jack Kirby property. It's never been collected. The art is gorgeous. And I think I shall die before they ever collect John Byrne's OMAC. But they could have put it in here. It would have been okay.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Look, you get love out there, Maddogg. That's right, buddy.
Cheers, Declan.
Justice League New 52 is a good starting on point in collecting Justice League. Absolutely. It's how all the characters met. Actually, I'll let Maddogg handle that because I know that's more of his era of expertise is the New 52 era. I'm coming at it from like an old guy that was like been there, done that kind of attitude. But what did you think, Marcus, of that era?
Yeah, this was like when I really started getting into collecting single issues. So maybe I've got like those nostalgia glasses on. I did also do a video talking about where to start on Justice League and gave like a few places where it might be optimum to jump in. But New 52 was definitely one of them because it was a time when DC knew that they wanted to get new people into it. So if you've got no pre-understanding of even any of the characters, the New 52, even though it isn't the best representation or maybe not the most authentic representation, it's still something that can get you into that universe. And it's a good transition if maybe you've only watched a film or a cartoon, and then you can easily jump into the New 52. And from there, you can pretty much read the majority of Justice League comics. So I definitely recommend it. But I think like the first trade paperback equivalents on like Kindle Unlimited, it was a few months ago. So you might be able to read it for free from there even. So I'd recommend doing that.
And this is a good question because I have my thoughts on this. Is the whole New 52 Justice League run good? Marcus, did you enjoy all of it? I'll let you answer first. Did you enjoy it?
What a loaded question.
I was going to say, I just got way too hyped about it to now be like, yeah, it wasn't all that good though.
Some of it kind of sucked. Okay.
I can't remember too much about the end, especially stuff after like, it was it called Year of the Villains, where there was just like a crossover where everybody just had the villains taking over an issue. That after that point, I can't remember too much about it. The problem with New 52 Justice League is that I think it did peak too soon. So obviously there was like a lot of dark side stuff very early on, and it's kind of like, where'd you go after that? Like, you don't start driving in a Ferrari. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think Jeff Johns didn't even finish it, right? Like,
I think it was Dan Jurgens by the end. That name rings a bell.
52 was Jurgens, because that's part of it's the Lex Luthor storyline.
Yeah.
And 51 was the Teen Titans, the what is it? It's where they start remembering Wally West, and so that might have been Jurgens as well. But I know that Jeff Johns and those issues were not collected in the Omnibus, the Dark Side Omnibus. Were 51 and 52. 52 is in Action Comics Rebirth #1, and 51 I think is in the Teen Titans book. Bizarro Comics with the Matt Groening cover. Like, this is the deluxe edition though for the first time. Now, Lars, is this something you were into? Bizarro's World?
I mean, this is one of those things that, like, I'm really glad it exists, and I'm really glad I remember when it came out, you just think, well, this probably isn't going to sell that great, but I'm really glad they're doing it. And so I'm thrilled that they're collecting a deluxe edition. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I certainly respect that it's other people's cup of tea. So yeah, that they're offering it's great.
I'm glad. Yeah, it came out. It's been out in hardcover before, like standard edition hardcover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yes. Big thank you for saying this. Rest in peace, that short-lived Year of the Villain Omnibus. That's, absolutely. Let's hope we don't have to say that anymore for any of these. Sandman Deluxe Edition
yeah.
Book 3. If for some reason you don't own these in omnibus format, absolute formats, trade paperbacks, standard edition hardcovers, and I've never read Sandman, this is a wonderful way to collect them.
But now I have to commit the heresy of saying that actually, all things being equal, I like deluxe editions better than omnibuses.
That's one strike, buddy. Go ahead.
I know you're going to terminate the call immediately.
I'm going to terminate.
No, I like the omnibuses, and I have omnibuses, but the deluxe editions, they're nice, they're beautiful, they sit on the shelf, and they're just easier to read.
Yeah.
So I held off buying. I didn't buy the Sandman Omnibus. I was like, some year they're going to put out Sandman Deluxe editions, and the Lord has provided for me.
Well, it was weird because this is Volume 2 was the one that was canceled, taken out of the catalog, and brought back.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were worried that it was going to go the Animal Man Deluxe Edition route. Like
it's Sandman. They're not going to
keep 4 or 5 years in between volumes. So yeah, not only are we getting a Volume 3, but later on, I think we're getting a Volume 4 that's already been solicited.
Omar, do you have a sense for your viewership? What percentage of them might prefer deluxe editions to omnibuses?
Honestly, there's a lot of readers in that watch me. There are some omnibus collectors, only omnibus collectors, and only hardcover collectors. But for the most part, it feels like people will just read anything as long as they're able to read it physically instead of digitally.
Yeah.
Whether it's a trade paperback or because that's the way I am. I read anything. I don't care what format it's in. I would have taken a Genesis miniseries and a trade paperback instead of having to buy that omnibus just to have it in physical format. Sure. But for the most part, I want to say most of them like reading just about anything. Some prefer trade paperbacks. I do have trade paperback only people that, but for the bigger, I think most of my viewers probably like hardcover format, deluxe editions or omnibus editions. And we have the New 52 10th anniversary, which interesting. Collecting a bunch of #1 issues.
Didn't they do an omnibus of just #1 issues as well after the New 52 started? So this is just like a smaller version of that.
Yeah,
it's a weird sampler pack, which is fine. Yeah. It's just, everyone should be aware you're buying a weird sampler pack.
I honestly forgot about Voodoo. I forgot that was one of the 52 titles. I'll be honest with you. All-Star Western, by the way, if you've never read it, freaking excellent. Yeah, freaking excellent. Animal Man solid. Aquaman was fun. Justice League Dark we're getting the biggest omnibus, and it's going to be the Justice League Dark omnibus over 1,600 pages. Demon Knights, forgot about that book too. Justice League, Wonder Woman, Action Comics, Batman, and Flash. Interesting starter pack. Thank you for the super chat, Zach. Woof woof, super excited. I can't believe I just read that. I finally got my first part-time job for the holidays, and thank you, Omar, for introducing me to this awesome hobby. Congratulations, brother, for that part-time job during the holidays. Big shout out to you, man. That's awesome.
I see that Zach is retail price $4.99. I'm like, Zach, I think you're worth a lot more than $4.99. I would price you much higher.
What do you think would be easier for you? Do you reckon it'd be easier to list all of the states in America or all of the titles that started at the New 52? If you say that you can't remember Voodoo.
Okay, if you say states, I got that. If you say capitals of America, I'll have to get my daughter. She'll have to help me with that one. I can't do all the capitals, not at this age. And I'm pretty sure I've been to most of them, if not all of them, except for the capital of Alaska. Omar, it's cheaper dollar per issue. At least it feels that way. And I'm sorry, Omnibus is cheaper dollar per issue. As a matter of fact, here's a plug for Marcus. He did an Omnibus, it was a price guide of best bang for your buck, like the Omnibus, like how much it would cost you per issue, which ones are the best and which ones are the worst. Am I right on that?
Yeah. Thank you for that. We did. We've done best value for money DC. We've done worst value for money DC, and we've also done the same for Marvel. And next month, I'm going to be doing best and worst value absolute editions. And like sometimes your favorite book's on it, and you're like, I don't want to put you on a worst list, but you're on the worst list. So.
Right. Sometimes.
What was the worst DC?
For the price, right? Like, how much is year one?
Absolute edition. It probably would be year one if I'm being honest with you, but I'll just get me
4 issues, right? And it's got the 2 different colors, though.
I've got my list here. So, okay, yeah. The worst value for money was Wonder Woman by George Perez Volume 2 because it had a page count of 552. a cover price of $99.99, which meant that per page it cost 18.11. But for Marvel, it was something even more ridiculous. It was the Elektra Omnibus, because there's like
I bought it.
12. There's like 12. Yeah, I brought it too. I can't lie. I can't complain too much, but there's like 12 issues in it, and it was like $100 cover price. There's more than 12.
Yeah,
I'm just.
It was the original printing, I think, was $75. It has Elektra, Assassin, and then I think it has Love and War. Because I remember the big debate over Guardians of the Galaxy, or by the Cosmic Universe by Donny Cates. People were like, "This is the worst thing ever," and I was like, "Well, apparently nobody bought Elektra or Devil Dinosaur." Like those were pretty thin. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. How dare I? Fables Compendium Volume 3. Continuing Fables, also the Jack of Fables. Oh, this is the crossovers. The crossovers with the literals and Jack of Fables. I love this.
And Fables Werewolves of the Heartland takes place in my hometown. Of stories. Really? Yeah, it literally does. It literally does. And I didn't know this. I got my copy in the mail, and then I opened it up and I'm like, oh my God, this is where I was born. And it reveals that my hometown was founded by Blackbeard the pirate, and that we are all werewolves. And I'm like, how can Bill Willingham be giving away our secrets like this? I mean, it's just, you try to have some stealth about things.
You're all werewolves up there, right? Where you are?
Exactly right.
Okay. Yeah. As long as we're good.
Exactly right. But yeah,
Dinosaur is not an omnibus, dude. My Devil Dinosaur has a nice, big, small, tiny, little omnibus symbol on the very top. It's so small, man. It's so. I think it was only $50 though, so I can't give it too much. All right, Absolute Wonder Woman: Gods and Mortals. This is scheduled to come out on August 24th, containing the first 14 issues. Speaking of George Perez. And it's got the Who's Who definitive directory of the DC Universe number 26. I'm sure that's just the Wonder Woman part, as well as the Who's Who update 1987, also the Wonder Woman characters. So I think this one is $125, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's not one of those. It's not 150, is it? Because I know they've been going up.
I don't think so.
I know that. Here, I'll do it really quick.
This should be fabulous. I have to confess that I think there's some artists that bigger isn't necessarily better. Like Brian Hitch's art benefits from being bigger. Gene Ha's art benefits from being bigger. Other artists I would not necessarily say that about, but George Perez, I mean, having this in an absolute format, it should be gorgeous. It should be absolutely gorgeous.
It's It's going to be hard for me because I have the omnibus of this, but I also have the omnibus of Jack Kirby's Fourth World. But that absolute Jack Kirby, whoever designed that is freaking phenomenal at designing these books. The slipcase is beautiful. And I came really close to getting that absolute Fourth World. I'm glad it's out of print. So I don't have to be tempted by it.
But wait, I'm sorry, why did you not get it?
Because I have the
because you have the other one. Yeah, okay.
Omnibus. But I came really close. And the one that's officially canceled is the Batwing Family is Everything. It was originally scheduled to come out in August, and they decided to cancel this omnibus. But we are getting a fat trade paperback of some of the material that's going to be on there.
Yeah.
That's not the same.
I thought it was 50. I'm sorry, Taylor. I didn't say it was bad. I have it. Devil Dinosaur Omnibus is a cover price of $29.99. Stop that anti-Kirby propaganda. Dude, I own it. I'm not hating on Kirby. I said I almost bought the Fourth World Absolute as well because I'm weak. But yeah, this is officially canceled. Taken out of the catalog, taken out of everywhere. So not sure if they'll ever bring it back. I'm going to lean more towards no because they are offering a fat trade paperback, which is what they did with the Impulse Omnibus. They canceled the Impulse Omnibus and they offered a fat trade paperback. And guess what? They canceled the fat trade paperback as well. But I don't know. Maybe one day. Wonder Woman 80 Years of the Amazon Warrior. This is one of the deluxe editions that features just different stories from all over the years of Wonder Woman, all the way from early appearances to modern day, with a cover by Jim Lee.
Yeah, these years collections can get a little chop suey. I mean, there's random issues in there. Then sometimes they don't necessarily start and end properly.
Mhm.
Or they say they don't really start and end because the best issue is just something dropped into the middle. But if you want an overview of Wonder Woman's 80 years, this is probably a good one.
If you want to become an expert on everything Wonder Woman, this is the book.
Yes, it's not a bad place to start.
You're gonna be like, I already read Golden Age, Silver Age. I got this, man. You can go to Wonder Woman trivia after this.
And free plug, if you haven't read The Secret History of Wonder Woman by Jill Lepore, fascinating book. Fascinating.
I have not.
Oh, it's great. Oh, here comes Preacher. Okay.
All right, Preacher Volume 2 in omnibus format. Collecting the remaining issues of Preacher. And this wraps up that wonderful storyline. This is one of my favorite endings to any comic book. I love this ending. It makes me freaking tear up. If you've not read it, it is blasphemous, but it is also beautiful.
Yeah. Although the absolutes are beautiful.
I have the absolutes. And those are blasphemous
same
because they look like Bibles that I would put. They look like big Bibles that I would put on my coffee table. I love them.
As well, this was I remember when I started going to my comic shop when I was about 15, 16, there was a guy behind the counter who's like almost like comic book guy out of Simpsons, like so condescending and everything. And but the one thing that he said to me was like, "You're not a comic book fan until you've read Preacher." And I was like, "What's Preacher?" And he took me across to it, and all 9 volumes were on the shelf. And he pulled the first 2 out, and he says, "Buy them today. If you don't like them, you can come back, and I'll refund your money and give you a free comic." And I was like, this is when I was still doing my paper round. So I was like, this is the best deal of my life. Like, nothing's ever going to top this. So I went to him and I read through volume 1. And I was like, okay, I'm getting a free comic. Then I read through volume 2 and I was like, oh, damn. And I went back and I brought the other, like, all the rest of the volumes in. This is, like, the first Vertigo series that I ever properly read in. It's just so amazing. Like, I'm glad that more people are getting to experience this because it's coming out in an omnibus. Probably get a compendium after anyway, but I'm happy.
A good friend of mine read the penultimate issue of this and somehow misunderstood he thought that was the last issue.
Oh, so he didn't see it wrap up.
No, because we're on the phone and he's going on. He thought that ending was great. He kept going on and on and on about this wonderful ending for Preacher, and oh my God, it's fantastic. And I had to tell him, well, there is one more issue. So that great ending you've got isn't the actual ending.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
No.
Like, I can't imagine reading issue 65 without knowing what
it was on a very different point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad he still liked it, though.
Yeah.
Here's an excellent question, though. Never read it. Should I get the Absolute or Omnibus? I think that depends on your taste. To me, it's one. If it's one of my favorite comics, I have to own it in the best format possible. And for me, that's the Absolute over the. Just the designs of the Absolute are stunning. They're gorgeous. Steve Dillon's oversized artwork. So I went the Absolute route, but I also realized it's more expensive because there's 3 of those that are $125 each, whereas the Omnibus there's only 2 that are $150. I want to say. Yeah. So what do you guys think? I think
now if you've never read it, I would recommend like buy volume 1 cheap on Kindle or get it from your local library, or read volume 1 before you commit to buying an entire omnibus, just because I do know people who've like, oh, I think I might like this, and they spend like $150 in the omnibus.
Right, I hate telling them.
I think it's like, even if it's not even necessarily that they don't like it. If they're not really into it, it just kind of sits on the shelf, and they never. Yeah, I know one guy. He decided to try Jack Kirby's Fourth World, and he bought the omnibus, and he's not that into it. So I'm like, oh yeah. So for God's sakes, try it on Kindle, try it on DC Infinite, try it at your local library, sample it, or get it borrowed from a friend. Sample it,
or find a comic book shop like Marcus did.
Yeah.
Free comic if you hate it.
Yeah. That's sample it. But then with then whether you suck it up and buy the Absolute or the Omnibus, you probably can't go wrong with either one. But
like, here's the thing: if I'm like your friend Lars, was not the biggest. I'm not like my DC starts with Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Excellent choice.
So I never really. I've tried to go back to Silver Age and Golden Age, and it wasn't for me. It took me a long time to finally get the Fourth World, and I started reading it last year. Ended up loving most of it. There are a couple issues, but had they had the Absolute Fourth World available at the same time that they had the Fourth World Omnibus available, I would have gone the Absolute route because I really enjoy the stories. And Jack Kirby, the older I get, the more I appreciate his arts. So I would have gone the Absolute route. But yes, this wraps up Preacher. And we have Batman Brave and the Bold, Bronze Age Volume 3, continuing the Bronze Age era of Brave and the Bold.
Now, I believe this was first solicited back in the Clinton administration.
This was a long time ago. You're right.
It feels like it. It was listed. It was canceled. And of course, this just finishes out the Brave and the Bold. I think, these sort of collectors were like, we are never going to get this thing ever. So I find it shocking that it's actually coming out.
It is coming out, man. Finally. Again, I'm happy for all the people that are getting this and have been asking me when is this coming out, but hopefully September 7th is when this comes out. Yeah. Batman Court of Owls, because if you can't get enough of Scott Snyder,
you can never have enough Court of Owls.
Greg Capullo's Batman New 52. Here we go. We have them in Omnibus format, we have Absolute format, we have standard size hardcovers, we have trade paperbacks, we have box sets, and now we have a deluxe edition of Batman Court of Owls in case you've never read it. So here's another way to
I quite like Court of Owls. I think my irritation here is it should have been issues 1 through 12.
They could change that, honestly. And DC, that's another thing I was going to say. I know there's a couple of these that are. This is exactly from the catalog, by the way.
Sure.
So I know for a fact that a couple of these have to be there's no way that they're collecting this little or they're not wrapping up. Like when we get to Fables Volume 4, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
There's no way they're not ending the series with a Volume 4.
Because we joke that there's 87 versions of this, but the fact of the matter is, again, I like deluxe editions. I would actually be keen to buy this, but if it's only 1 through 6, I'm like, I'd rather have the entire first year.
I forgot we also had them in Essential.
Yeah,
DC started releasing these Essential books.
Yeah,
and the black and white version. I think they did one for Court of Owls, didn't they? If I remember correctly, like the Batman Noir books, where it was just like the sketch. I don't know if I'm confusing it because there's quite a few of them, but
they may have. I don't remember really.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, and some people are wondering, well, like, because why when the Scott Snyder Omnibus, came out fairly recently, like, is this diluting the pool? And I think remember there are just different people who like different formats, and there are some people who are like that Omnibus is too expensive, but I would buy something like this. And
I do need to make one note here is that this is not in the catalog anymore.
Oh,
which could mean that it's getting canceled, or best case scenario, it's getting reshuffled into next year. So just to point that out, this date might change because I don't see it in the catalog anymore. That I was double checking to make sure this is one of them. Deathstroke by Christopher Priest.
Fantastic.
And it is coming out. This is the rebirth era of Deathstroke, and it is a huge book.
This is one of the best comics of the last 5 to 7 years. I mean, it's fantastic. I don't care about Deathstroke really, but Christopher Priest is so good.
He's awesome. Yes,
I read all of this. I've read it all twice. I mean, he's that good of a writer.
He is quite excellent. I had the first trade paperback, and I thought to myself, one day they'll do the right thing and give us the Rebirth Deluxe editions. Immediately forgot, like I had it, and now it wasn't until I saw this solicitation that I was like, oh crap, I forgot to buy the rest of those trade paperbacks. Good thing I didn't. That's awesome. Now I get to finish it all in one.
I wish they'd had fewer Teen Titans issues, and it would have been maybe a little shorter and cheaper. But for again, completists will want those Teen Titans issues. So
really quick, hey, are all these getting posted on Patreon? Yes, we'll have a physical list that's easier to read there after this sometime. What's up, Omar Reyes? Yes, this is a Hot Rod shirt.
I know.
He didn't do anything wrong. He just wanted the whole third season for himself. So yeah, Optimus killed. But yes, very excited for this one.
We were talking before the show began that Omar went to a showing of Transformers the movie in theaters, and someone insulted him because he was wearing his Rodimus shirt.
Like, your shirt sucks. I was like, what?
Well, your hero's dead, buddy. So
my guy got to live and got his own show.
Yeah.
Superman and Lois, the 25th anniversary deluxe edition, the wedding anniversary. Interesting collection here. Because we've had Superman the wedding in trade paperback format, long out of print, but easy to find. Like you can find it for like $2 or $3. To make it a deluxe edition, I find interesting. I guess they've been married 25 years, so that's
been married 25 years. And of course, if they murdered somebody, they would have been out by now, but they're still together.
I guess that's you know what, everybody deserves a deluxe edition if you've been married to the same person for 25.
My 19th anniversary was just yesterday, and I didn't get a deluxe edition.
You didn't get a deluxe. Well, you have to wait till the
19th,
25th, man. That's when it comes. Yeah. I wish one day that era was collected in omnibus format, though. And speaking of omnibus format, Fourth World by Jack Kirby is getting a reprint. The omnibus edition is getting a reprint, hoping that they will also reprint the now out of print Absolute Fourth World Volume 1, because we have a Volume 2 coming out. And if they're reprinting this and we're getting a Volume 2, maybe DC, can get their heads together and be like, all right, let's reprint Absolute Volume 1.
Someone's asking in the chat, are Superman and Lois still married? Yes, they're still married, actually.
Yes. In continuity. DC continuity is confused. You said it. Where's the Superman girlfriend Lois Lane omnibus? Great question.
Collect all their weddings.
Those were different times. You can't fault her for that. Different times. Oh man, I wonder how they're gonna handle all that stuff from the Silver Age, though. All those ridiculous Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane books that are so offensive these days.
Ridiculous, but
Justice League Dark, the new 52. What's up, man? My dog came down. Why are you down here? The girls let you down here, didn't they? Justice League Dark, like I mentioned, the biggest freaking, not just DC or Marvel. This is the biggest omnibus. I think it's over 1,600 pages, if I'm not mistaken. It's huge. Yeah. This is an awesome era. Jeff Lemire, Peter Milligan. Just like, let me double check on the page count of that, making sure they haven't changed it. But honestly, this one surprised me. I did not see this one coming.
Dates this big, or dates happening at all?
1,648 pages.
Someone says it's a beautiful monster. It is indeed a beautiful monster. That's correct. Yes.
$150 retail price. So man, this is the biggest.
I love this. I've been loving the James Tynion run on Justice League Dark, and then the Rom V run. I actually love this series a lot. I wish it had a different title. There's something about Justice League Dark that's just a bit grating, but I love it to pieces.
DC's testing the limits of their binding quality with Justice League Dark. They really are. I mean, they're gonna have to. They will probably have to make it thinner paper. I mean, if they make it thinner paper, it can be done. Yeah. But I know how some people don't like thinner paper, but it makes it a little easier on that spine. My goodness. What's it about? This is during the New 52 era, so this is like taking all the dark quote unquote characters from the DC universe and putting them together in one team.
Yeah. I probably like the James Tynion run better. James has it make more sense. James actually works to have it make sense that these characters are actually together as an actual team beyond marketing reasons. But yeah, I really enjoyed his run. This is fun.
I'll be honest with you. Mike Constantine died with vertigo. Like John Constantine to me is the one. It has not been the same Constantine. Okay. But this one at least made it a little bit better.
Right. Like, you are a Hellblazer kind of guy.
I love Hellblazer. Hellblazer is like one of the best books out there. All the original issues of the Vertigo run. Aquaman, same thing that they did with Wonder Woman. 80 years of the King of the Seven Seas. That nice beard. Surprised they didn't go with like a Jason Momoa looking cover. Honestly,
surely it's a mistake that this says Aquaman 0 to 37. That can't be right.
Yeah,
because these years collections usually have about 20 issues total, so it can't be 38 issues to open the bid.
See what I mean? This is DC.
Maybe I'm wrong, but does that make any sense?
No.
I think it must have just been the listing. It'd probably be very good value for money because I think it's like $40 cover price. So if you can get 37 issues, snap that one up. But yeah, Comic Bound, you know the New 52 is my jam. It's always been my jam. It'll always be my jam.
That's his jam, everybody. I have not read Cy Spurrier's run, but I keep meaning to. I heard his Hellblazer was solid. I also need to read Tom Taylor's run with Derek Robertson, that miniseries that they did. I haven't read that either.
Cy Spurrier's run was gone before its time. Yeah.
Wonder Woman Blood and Guts, the deluxe edition. This is more of your jam there, Marcus. This is the New 52 era, Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang in deluxe edition now.
And again, deluxe edition. So I will definitely be getting this one and all of them rather than the omnibus. Yeah.
This had an absolute edition as well, hadn't it? Like this is
It had two
this has been released a lot.
It's had an omnibus, trade paperbacks, and standard size hardcovers.
It was a bit controversial because of the way it treats Diana's mythology, but it must keep selling. It must keep selling, and it is interesting. And the art is gorgeous. So, I
dig this. I love reintroducing the Amazons in that horror-like elements that they threw in there. Thought it was a pretty cool, interesting way of doing it.
Well, when you discover where the baby Amazons come from, horrifying.
Yes,
horrifying.
Freaking awesome, though. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so much. Batwoman Omnibus back on the schedule. Releasing on October 12th. Collecting all of Greg Rucka's and J.H. Williams' run in Detective Comics, and then Batwoman. And who was it that took over? And Draco, I think, took over the book after that. But this is, I can't wait to have this in deluxe or in oversized format. It's one of the best runs.
Yeah.
It is solid. Have you read this, Marcus?
I've read the first part because it came out in that standard-sized hardcover called Elegy. So I read that part, and I've read... Yeah, like I wanted that to get an absolute because of just the paneling, just the way it was laid out. And knowing me, even after I buy this, if they then released an absolute edition just because of the J.H. William art, like,
oh man, yes,
you'd have to buy it. Like, it'd be a crime not to. I love this stuff.
And this is so much truth. Gutter loss is critical when you're buying J.H. Williams, the third book. I love that we all throw in the third in there. There's a lot of truth to that because you don't like especially his start on his artwork on Promethea. Everything is a spread page, just about.
Yeah.
And in this, there's so many spread pages, so you are 100% that gutter loss is crucial. Phenomenal run though. Batman Arkham Asylum is getting a deluxe edition. The Absolute is out of print right now, but this Absolute or this deluxe edition is coming out. This is a great Morrison story. If you've not read it.
The Absolute edition only recently went out of print as well. Like, I was surprised that it just disappeared overnight.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was out of the catalog, out of the distributor's catalog for a while. It just took a while for people to sell out of it.
Yeah.
So good, man. They should have released the Batwoman for Pride.
Pride Month, that's absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah. Let's just be happy that DC even remembered. Because remember, that book had been canceled. And then they brought it back. So I think this is the second time. No, this is the third time that they've added it to the catalog. So hopefully this time it will come out. I can't believe that Lois and Clark have to share an anniversary with Arkham Asylum. That's kind of crazy. Didn't even realize that.
Okay.
All right. So one of my favorite stories of all time.
Yes.
All time. It is coming out in compendium format. And the last thing that Hank worked on, who was the David Gabriel at DC Comics, was Starman. And this is the one that he asked me, should we do a compendium if we promise to do them back to back? I said, I think an omnibus would be better, but you do you. And
They decided to go
the compendium route.
James Robinson's Starman is one of the absolute best comics of the 1990s. It is stunningly good. And yet I don't know that it sells that great. It has been so hard to keep this book in print.
Yeah.
So hard. I have all the separate omnibuses, but they went out of print. They started doing the soft covers. They didn't finish.
Yeah, they just continued at 3, I think was the last one that they did.
They did 2. They did 2 of the soft covers. Then they did solicit an omnibus. and yanked that back.
They did. Yeah, they did. It was the Cosmic Omnibus or something like that. It was huge.
Yeah, it's just been nuts. And so, like, I think at this point, if you're a Starman fan, it's like, oh, you're doing this. Great, do it. Get it back on shelves.
I just want people to read it. Like,
well, right.
Is it? I hope it's better than his Justice League work. Like, don't judge James Robinson.
Mr. Baker, this is like 10 times better than his Justice League work.
This is like his own creator-owned story. Like, he gets to do. He just has so much free. The amount of free reign that the DC gave him with all these cool. Because I don't think DC gave a crap about these Golden Age characters. So, like, yeah, sure, use Wesley Dodd. That's fine. He's not doing anything. His series was canceled. Yeah, sure. The Legacy. Oh my God, it's so good. That last arc is so beautiful. It's so perfect. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Deeply moving personal work. Absolutely fantastic, and not remotely like his Justice League work. Not remotely.
No, not at all. It's I like. Honestly, James Robinson has broken my heart over time because every time I see him on a book, I get excited. I'm like, yeah, James Robinson's coming on board. I like the Scarlet Witch, though. I thought that was solid, and his Fantastic Four had moments, but this is the best.
But this is something truly special. I think that's what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Marcus, have you read this, Starman?
Yeah, I got the hardcover omnibuses on my shelf over there. I love like the stuff with his dad and like once a year. This stuff would always happen. Like, I haven't read this in years. I do need to go back to it, but I remember having a really good time when I did read it. And then obviously I read Ex Machina, which was also Tony Harris on art, but the two completely different styles. And I did really enjoy this book. And I'm not sure if I ever read the issue 81 though. Do you know the one that was the Blackest Night issue? I don't think I ever read that one. I'm not sure if that's good.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody who shows up in there because Blackest Night is the zombie book, right? Like
it was
fast come back as zombies.
Yeah, it was good, but it doesn't enormously change things if you haven't.
Yeah, you don't need to read it honestly. How many compendiums with Starman would there be to complete the story? Just 2.
Probably just 2.
So this is a huge compendium. Look at all the material that's collected in there, and I hope the compendiums collect the Final Shade series too. What are you doing down here? I told you to get the doggy. That's right. I don't go get him. Go get him. You're not getting him by getting in front of the camera. All right. Good talk. Get the dog. Thank you. All right. Love you, girls.
Would you buy this if it had a connecting cover like the Fables Compendiums?
Dude,
would that be enough to buy it?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna buy it to do an overview on my channel because people have been asking me to do more compendiums and then give it away.
That's very polite of them. Will you buy this book so that you can give it away, please?
Oh, why don't you spend money on us? I think it's Wednesday. Have you spent money on us?
I think it's because they get used to me reviewing so many Marvel books, and I'm like, yeah, Marvel sends me books for overviews. Of course, I'm happy to do those. DC doesn't, so I can't buy all of them, but I'd be happy to do. Like I gave away the Superman by Tomasi omnibus to a kid because I knew that people wanted to see the overview, but I didn't. I have it. I don't need it. I have the deluxe editions. I didn't need to keep it, and I'll be doing the same thing with this too.
What if you bought it and kept it for yourself? Is that just unacceptable to these people?
I will say that if there is a connecting cover and it's what's his name? Tony
Harris.
Tony Harris's like new artwork. I may keep them. I may be guilted into keeping them.
I love how we've been talking about how this is one of the best comics of the decade, brilliantly written, brilliantly drawn, but does it have a connecting cover?
That's all Marcus's.
Yeah, that's all that other stuff.
Keep a train of thought for that long. If the covers are different, I'll forget what's happening.
Then screw it.
Yeah.
A big surprise, but a welcoming surprise is the Books of Magic Omnibus Volume 2 wrapping up the original series here by Mike Carey and Peter Gross. Man, and it's got Molly's story too. I'm glad that they kept that in there.
Yeah,
there was a Cy Spurrier series that took place after this.
There was a handful of miniseries that took place after. Life During Wartime was one, and so on. But
this is the one that wraps up the original series. So and
again, Vertigo. You realize just how much because I think the trade paperbacks of this stopped short. I think. So these Vertigo omnibuses are great because they are adding in there a bunch of stuff that's never been collected.
I'm really looking forward to this one. I never got a chance to read it the first time round. Everybody was pretty much like, "Oh, Harry Potter copied off this," and I'm like, "That means I'm going to have to read it."
Harry Potter.
Well, Neil Gaiman himself has said that he was not the first to pioneer a boy wizard, so I don't think J.K. Rowling can really be accused of theft on this one.
No. But then again, Neil Gaiman's just so humble and nice that I reckon he'd just like, "No, I gave her the idea," and it's like,
He's
he's
also
such
not
a nice
wrong.
guy.
Back in the first Omnibus says first of three. Oh, wait, I have it actually right here. Hold on.
that
First of three.
That would mean they're collecting outside of the Mike Carey run then, because they do have some. Wait,
They are right. This I have the first volume here. It does say first of three oversized omnibus collections.
thanks.
So presumably they're going to do all the miniseries.
So there was a few follow-up series. The trade stopped at issue 50. Oh, that's awesome. Life During Wartime. That was it. That was
Life During Wartime,
right?
I think I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
Batman the Long Halloween, in case you don't have the absolutes or you're like Lars and loves the deluxe editions, here you go.
Well, look, I have the original hardcover. I'm still going to buy this.
Let me see that. Let me see the original hardcover. Let me see what that
The
looks
original hardcover. It's even signed by Jeff. Oh yes, this is signed by Jeff Loeb.
like.
Yeah, here's the original hardcover.
You can't sell that, Lars. It says to Lars. Well, you have to sell it to a guy named Lars.
I don't want to sell it. Well, you're right. Yes, I can sell it to that big market of people named Lars. But I'm going to get the deluxe edition.
Now, if I bought something like that on eBay, I would have to cross out your name and write Omar. Omar.
It
obviously says your name.
I am one of those weirdos that I don't usually get autographs, but if I do get autographs, I actually ask them not to personalize it because I mean, it's fine that Jeff did it, but I don't actually like looking at my own name.
Okay.
I'd rather if it's George Perez, I just want to see George Perez. If it's Marv Wolfman, I just want to see Marv Wolfman. I don't want to see my name. And I'm not going to resell it. I know. I mean, you could resell it, but I'm not going to. So yes, I will be buying this, even though I already own it.
It's a great.
To be fair, though, you could just put you could make the L into an M, put an O at the beginning, and it'd say two Omars. So I guess that you could sell it on a technicality.
I have, but the thing is, I have my absolute signed by Tim Sell, and then I would have to cut out his signature from Jeff Loeb to glue on my absolute.
What in the comments, someone says Lars Ulrich would totally spend a lot of money for this. Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. Thank you.
Batman, yes, No Man's Land. So they are coming out with a No Man's Land, a follow-up to Road to No Man's Land. I think all of us were very excited when we saw the last page of that omnibus says coming soon, Batman No Man's Land omnibus. So here it is, one of, I assume, will be two omnis for this era of Batman.
This is one that it's slightly shocking they've not done it before now.
Yeah.
And I guess they were just too busy with the other formats because you just think, well, it's No Man's Land. It's been very renowned. It's not been an omnibus, I guess, but here we are.
Why doesn't this have JLA issue 33? Because that was the image that they used to promote this omnibus.
The one where they're all standing on the I don't know.
It's the most DC thing that DC's ever done. Not include the book that they used to promote it.
Oh man, you're so right. Who knows?
Imagine if they just start doing that.
Keep in mind, though, the solicits until the end were wrong in the original Road to No Man's Land. They were leaving out issues, and then when I finally got the book, I'm like, oh no, they're in here. Yeah. But that can also go the other way. With Harley Quinn, Volume 3, the omnibus solicitation had more issues, just past all the Palmiotti and Amanda Connor issues, and they were not included. The Frank Terry issues were not in the omnibus. And even in the collecting part, where DC or every book does the this little area of the book where they tell you what's collected in the front page. Even there, they left the issues that were collected that they originally solicited for Harley Quinn.
I love that. It's give them benefit of the doubt. They've been wrong last time.
Road to No Man's Land, I think, is still in stock at least at PRH. At least at PRH, so it should be coming. I hope they one day reprint Gotham Central. My lord, that book is so awesome.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of front of the book, Omar, if you could use your great powers with Marvel to get them to release a collection of Spider-Verse that actually has the correct reading order, that would be, maybe this has been discussed before, I don't know, but that would be unbelievably helpful because
Is that the only reason you came on the show, man, to tell me what book you want?
If you're taking requests,
I'm telling you to be a good wizard and not, and not an evil wizard. No, because in front of Spider-Verse, they actually list the reading order, and it's not like that. And so to read it, you need like 15 Post-it notes.
I have spoken very loudly about that book.
Okay.
It's in my you know how Marcus has a list of like worst value books? That one's in the worst mapping because it's almost like they did the homework and then somebody forgot to do their part of the homework. Like you imagine like two people doing the homework assignment and you're the guy that's like, okay, I'm going to write exactly how to read it. Your job is to go in there and physically move the books around. Got it? Cool, man. You show up on Monday to your teacher and you're like, look, and you get a freaking F because your buddy forgot to move the books around. Because yes, at the very front of the the table of contents tells you how to read it.
Yeah.
And then when you're flipping through the book, all the books are together. So you have to go back to that table of contents, or like you have to have a little Post-it note saying, okay, I've read that. It doesn't even include Edge of the Spider-Verse, which was a big no-no to me. Right. That introduces a lot of characters, including Spider-Gwen, who just shows up in an issue of Spider-Man. You're like, what? Anyway, that's another story. Thanks for making
I think it was mapped with the stairwell method. They just took a bunch of trays, threw them to the bottom of the stairs, picked them up in the order in which they fell, and that's how it was collected. But I apologize. We're supposed to talk about DC.
That's okay. I forgot how angry that book made me. Wonder Woman. Who is Wonder Woman? Also getting a deluxe edition. It's a really weird time to release these because the movie has been out, like it came out earlier. And this is a deluxe edition of Alan Heinberg's run on the book, which was unfortunately killed by delay after delay after delay. So much so that who did they get? They got Jodie what's her name? Jodie Picoult to take over the book, and then Gail Simone took over the book. But this book here is the Alan Heinberg post Infinite Crisis, who is Wonder Woman, and it's actually a good book.
Yeah,
I love it.
This isn't one I'm familiar with, but it's got good creators on it. So,
man,
who's the artist on this? I like that front cover.
Terry Dodson.
Terry Dodson.
Oh yes, whatever. I'll take this in any format. Milestone Compendium, of course. Collecting. This is the Dwayne McDuffie was a big part of this, and as well as a bunch of other. Well, you were at Wizard Magazine when this was coming out, right?
It kind of predates my time at Wizard some.
Okay.
Ish. Yeah.
But
Milestone got rolling before then, yeah.
This is just classic Milestone universe, which for a long time they were going to bring it back. And for some reason, I don't know. And I think it was when Dwayne McDuffie was writing Justice League, he brought back some of the characters for a little while. Very underrated, and I'm glad it's finally coming out in a collected edition. None of this series has been collected in any format, and they're kickstarting it again. I think the Milestone universe this coming, well, it was supposed to be this coming year. I'm not sure if they're still going to do it or not, but you got a lot of wonderful talent here. So that's a big buy for me. And of course, Absolute Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, Volume 3, wrapping up the classic Alan Moore storylines. And you know what, Marcus, you said that's the most DC thing DC could do. I think the most DC thing DC could do is release this Absolute Edition that people were worried that was never coming, and release it with the original colors instead of the new colors. And just to piss everybody off. Like, you got the old people going, well, now I have to buy this. And then you have the new people going, well, these colors suck. I want the new colors. And meanwhile, DC's got their arms crossed, just laughing their ass off.
I'm far less picky about things than people might suspect. But, yeah, the coloring here, I'm like, why? Why? The original coloring was perfectly fine.
Brother Afron is saying Icon, Hardware, and Static have had collections. I really don't remember those. Were they trade paperback collections that came out a while ago?
I believe they were just trades, yeah.
I don't remember those.
It's weird with Swamp Thing, though, because obviously, like, I know a lot of people don't like the new colouring, but for myself, this was my first time properly reading Swamp Thing outside of the first trade paperback. So for me, if anything, it's had a positive knock-on effect because now I want to find the original colouring just to see what the difference is and experience it that way. So in a weird way, it's almost pointed me in the direction of it.
Cynics might say you're inspired to go out and find it when it was good.
Yeah.
But no. This was interesting for me. It's interesting how there's certain characters you kind of don't care about unless the right creator's on them. I kind of don't care about Swamp Thing, but the Alan Moore run, I've read it beginning to end. It genuinely is very good.
I like the new 52 stuff with Scott Snyder.
That one was pretty good. Yeah, that was pretty good too. Yeah.
That is
I haven't read the Nancy Collins stuff yet, though. I got the Omnibus, but I haven't read it yet. She seems really nice as well. Like, she always just like replies to people on Twitter when, like, last year when everybody was getting that book, and she's just like, "Cheers for buying this," and it's like, "Oh, she's really nice."
She's awesome. I really like her. Her personality is amazing. The what I was going to say is that, Lars, you brought up a really good point about, sometimes you don't care about the character, but it's the creative team that's behind it. I can think of a lot of Image comics, for that matter. Like, I didn't like Prophet. I didn't care about the character of Prophet or Glory, for that matter, until a certain creative team went behind there. And I'm like, man, I don't care what comes out from Glory. I'm picking it all up. So we have a lot of there's a lot of division here. The new coloring is far superior. New coloring is superior. I think. Hold on. And Polly.
There probably are people who do like it. No, absolutely.
I can't remember. It's not Paul Mounts, is it? It's Steve Oliff, isn't it? That does the new colors.
I don't think it's Paul.
I think the original colors go with nostalgia, right? That's the way I originally read the issues.
Yeah.
So that goes a long way. It means something to me. But if you're new to reading Swamp Thing and have never read it, then absolutely you're going to go for the new colors because they're gorgeous. They're more vibrant. I remember certain scenes. I'll never forget the introduction of John Constantine. That scene at the bar, or the scene at the club, in my head plays out the way that it played out in the original books. So when I'm reading the Absolute Edition, it's weird. I'm like, where the hell are they? Oh, it's the nightclub, because this is different colors. It almost feels like a different atmosphere. So it all has to do with nostalgia, really.
No, I think you're right. I don't know how many newcomers would begin reading Alan Moore's Swamp Thing with like whatever this is priced at, like $100 or $125.
I think
probably a few, but no. I apologize. I'm sure there are people who do like it. Absolutely. Will the box set of new or old colors?
This is the question. This is the question, and it's a question I get quite often. Will Alan Moore's Swamp Thing box set have new or old colors? And I still don't know. Part of me wants to say all they're going to do is use the same files from the original trade paperbacks and the original hardcovers and give you the old colors. But these files have been updated with the new colors. So they very well could do what they did with Sandman when Sandman, what was it? The Omnibus, the first Absolute recolored the first 17 issues. And then every reprint after that was using that color. We're using the colors from the Absolute. So I'm not sure on that yet. I'm not sure on that one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, baby. Green Arrow, The Longbow Hunters, Volume 2, wrapping up Mike Grell's wonderful run on Green Arrow. Gives me hope that they'll do a what's it called? A Chuck Dixon one day. Different page types pick up different colors better. Batman Year One recognized this and had the original colorist reformatted to better suit the page.
Okay.
Very good point. Michael, that can't be Michael Edmund. He said something smart. He knows I love that guy. But yes, this collects the rest of the run of Mike Grell's Green Arrow. Yeah. So I'm so glad that they're finishing this out. Coming out this November. Loved it. Loved the very first one.
I hope the cover's better for this one. Like, I know you literally shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but how'd you make a Green Arrow book and have an orange cover? Well, I don't know why. That just it irked me.
I think
it irked me.
Michael's getting roasted by Omar. Dude, Michael's always roasting me. He's fine. He'll be fine. Or did he leave the chat? He's done with
Oh
me.
no, yeah.
Sandman Deluxe Edition Volume 4. There you go, Lars.
Yep, for me, a must buy. Yep, absolutely.
Phenomenal series, man.
It's also pleasing when like they put out these editions, fairly quickly. Having decided to do the deluxe editions, that they're going boom, 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 and I feel like I'll get them all in a certain amount of time and not have this hand wringing about will they ever. I mean, it's Sandman, so they're not going to cancel it, but.
Right.
Much rather, like again, Fables Compendium too. Great to have it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, like I like that they're doing like Fables. I was on the fence about getting the compendiums, and it's similar to what you're saying because it's already like, okay, we've got up to volume 4 solicited, which will complete the run. I'm like, great, I'll buy all of these then. And I think it's a good sign that DC's maybe turning towards that, because that was the reason I didn't buy Batman by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo Omnibus Volume 1 for a while, because that Volume 2 didn't get solicited until this year. So I think like you said, it is really good that they're starting to push it forward with the solicitations of books in a series.
Yeah. Someone's asking, will Volume 5? Yeah, Volume 5 should be Sandman 75. It'll have the follow-up ones, Overture, Endless Nights. I don't know that it'll have the Death series just because there's already a Death Deluxe Edition.
They'll probably do Endless Nights.
Yeah.
Instead of the Death miniseries, all 6 of those. They'll probably do Endless Nights and Overture. So that's probably why they kept it there.
And the other one, oh goodness, I can't remember the title of it. The immediate follow-up, yeah.
Do you guys prefer the Fables Compendiums or having all the trade paperbacks? I used to have all the trades and I upgraded to the deluxe editions. But I will say, if I had to choose between the Fables Compendium or the trade paperbacks, the Compendiums are more complete. They have more than the trade paperbacks did. Mm-hmm. So that's a big plus towards the Compendiums. And there's only 4 of them.
And the covers connect.
Overture, that is a good point, was released as a deluxe edition. But I think you have to be included. It's DC, it's Sandman. They'll triple, they'll do whatever to get you to buy another book with Sandman on the title.
Well, and Death is still a mini series. It's a spin-off. It's not the actual Neil Gaiman writing Sandman. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Death miniseries will be in there. I wouldn't be shocked if they weren't, but they could be.
And finally, what everybody's been wanting for a couple of years now, Batman by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, Omnibus Volume 2. And I remember when I did the overview of Last Night on Earth 1, 2, and 3, I remember making a comment last year. I was like, I bet they're probably going to put these 3 issues in the second Omnibus, and that's why it's taken so long. I think it was just wishful thinking on my part, but they're actually coming out with it, man. It's finally coming. The remaining issues of Zack Snyder's and Greg Capullo's run, while not as stellar as Volume 1, it's still a fun book with gorgeous artwork.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And it's got Last Night on Earth as well. Like, I didn't manage to pick that one up, so I'm glad that I didn't now.
I love the way that one started. Had they kept the idea of the very first part of that book, I would have been completely cool with it. But I'm not gonna ruin it. This is your jam, though, man, Marcus.
Yeah, this is my jam. Like, I'm happy.
You are on cloud 9, but it's so much to love here. It's the Starman hardcover. No, it is Compendium. So if you see Compendiums are all soft cover. They look like this. They're just the same size as trade paperbacks, except they're fat.
Yep.
That's the only difference. I bought the Last Night on Earth Deluxe. Guess that's gonna get. Man, it's DC. Omar Reyes and anybody that's listening, it's DC. Do not go sell your books until you have the other book physically in your hand.
Correct.
All you people that sold Batman Hush, absolute, because you were gonna get a Batman Hush omnibus. Never happened. Just remember that, okay? Before you go selling anything. Oh, dang it! I missed my point to say thick. Thank you so much. Look. It's thick, baby. Thicker than a Snicker. Look at that. That's the difference. Does Cheap Graphic Novels have the new edition of Volume 1 with the new binding? I'm not sure. You would have to probably email them. The latest printing do have nicer bindings.
How do those compendiums hold up if you start to read them? I mean, does the spine, wear easily? Or
I don't get them for a specific reason. But honestly, the Spawn one that I have that I gave away, that one held up pretty good. Because I wanted to test the waters and do some like making sure
Sure.
you bend them proper. Because my problem with the old school compendiums is that they would eventually get that crease.
Exactly.
Which when you put it on the bookshelf doesn't look, really nice. So
well, you've got kids. Open it up and let them stomp on it a little bit and see if it, holds up.
That's a video people will want to see.
Yeah, they would absolutely watch that. It'd be called the
His life's man that lets his children destroy his comics. That's gonna go over well. Thanks, Lars.
No, you're stress testing them for professional reasons. Yeah.
All right, I can do that. All right, so this is another one that I need to stress that this is currently out of the catalog, but could very well mean that they're just going to put it somewhere else on another date, maybe in 2022. I'm very much looking forward to this one because I think the hardcovers are out of print, and I don't think they were fully complete. So this one will be coming out supposedly in November. So one that I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
You're giving a good reference to the Preacher books, but you're talking about Lois Lane in the 50s being offensive.
Well,
that's a difference. That's blasphemy, and the stuff that they used to do in those Silver Age books are two different kinds of things. Anybody can be offended by these things, but I was just saying, I wonder how they would even go about printing some of those stories that are, could be labeled as racist or sexist.
Well, blasphemy is one thing. I mean, I believe there is kind of and I think Garth Ennis has apologized for this. There is an undercurrent of, or maybe not an undercurrent of, homophobia in them, which is very regrettable. And I believe Garth has gone on record saying he would have handled that differently today. Yeah, I
think he said it was that's the one thing that it was outdated about the book when people complain about it. And I heard the same thing about Invincible too. But Kirkman hasn't come out and said anything, but the people had the same kind of complaints about Invincible.
Okay.
Tom Strong, Batgirl of Burnside, another book that was completely out of the catalog, put back into the catalog now. So maybe we're living on high hopes, man. All right, Batgirl of Burnside. Collecting the remaining issues of Marcus's Jam, New 52 Batgirl. Have you all read this era? Have you read New 52, like Gail Simone era?
I've read this. I'm sorry, Marcus, go ahead.
No, it's fine. That was literally all I had to say. I've read Gail Simone, so don't worry about it.
Ditto. I've read the Gail Simone stuff, but I stopped there.
This was completely different. I hated the idea of Barbara Gordon getting the ability to walk again. Hated that because Oracle is one of my favorite characters, and there's not a lot of characters like her in comic books.
No,
that don't that she was bound to a wheelchair, and I thought it was amazing for a character like her to overcome this thing that happened, this horrible thing that happened to her, and to shine in another way where she was a different kind of hero.
Yeah.
But when I heard Gail Simone was involved with it, I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. I've loved her Birds of Prey, and I loved her Secret Six. So let's see what happens. So it was fun. It felt like this was different. She was young in that, but this feels like a younger, hipperish kind of Barbara Gordon. I'm not hating on it. It just wasn't for me. Very happy for the people that really enjoyed it and looking forward to this, but
Gail
Simone run a little more.
Well, as good as the Gail Simone run is, I believe Gail said that she never wanted to be quite so dark. That editorial is pretty insistent upon darker, grimmer, and Gail writes grim very well, but she didn't want it quite so dark. And then, of course, the moment that she was no longer on the title, it's a complete reversal, and suddenly it's bright and shiny and happy again. So yeah, that wasn't necessarily her.
Somebody brings up a couple points. One thing that I do want to point out is the Cameron Stewart thing that's been going around. So if you're not familiar with that, there were some accusations against Cameron Stewart. So some people, are not okay supporting his work.
Cool.
much like the case of other creators that have had their work in omnibus format, I have no idea how much they get, or even if they get anything, if it's written into a contract. So
I would presume they do get royalties. I'm embarrassed to say I'd not heard about that, but I wasn't planning to buy this anyway, so you know.
The one thing I cannot remember where I read it, and you know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna. Let's move on. Because I don't want to be misquoted on, because I don't remember where I read it.
No,
so
I haven't heard about it.
Have I heard about the New Teen Titans Omnibus Volume 6? It is not on the catalog. So it's not in the catalog. So it could mean that, hopefully, knock on wood, buddy, that they're just pushing it towards 2022. That's what that means.
Was it in the catalog and taken away, or just never?
Yeah, it was in the catalog, and now it's showing up on Amazon for $20.79. So, yeah.
How did they arrive at that number? Why is it always $20.79 if they're going to kill something?
It's a placeholder for Amazon saying, well, this book is probably not coming. That's how, what was it, the Promethea Omnibus was there for such a long time.
But I wonder why they put that year. Some Gen Xer was like, well, I'll be 100 in that year, so, you know.
Probably some kind of weird numbering system that the computer picked. I think, what was it? Marvel versus DC Omnibus was there for a couple of years at that date. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's still coming, baby. It's still coming. Nope. Wrong. Fables Compendium Volume 4. This is one that I was talking about that I don't think that's right. I think this will go all the way to 150. Because that wraps up.
Yes, it would be dumbfounding if it didn't include 150. Which is the final issue.
Compendium Volume 5 to get you to buy a Jack of Fables compendium, maybe? I don't know. Which would be ridiculous. Like, to get you to buy another series, put in the final issue with it.
It has to be a mistake. It just has to be, but who knows?
All right. The Wonder Woman Silver Age Volume 1.
Right.
One that was previously canceled, taking us through the Wonder Woman Silver Age. Still in the books. Knock on wood. Collecting Wonder Woman 98 to 123. So years in the Silver Age.
Yep.
And Jack Kirby's Fourth World Volume 2. Look, absolute Fourth World. That design is so freaking awesome. I love it, man.
They're that proud that this is one of the only times that they've very clearly showcased both the slipcase and the book and the solicitation.
Yeah,
it's like a guessing game into it. Like, they are proud of that there. Well, it should be.
Most of the images are placeholders. Like the Green Arrow one. I'm pretty sure that's a placeholder, right? Like you said, I'm sure they'll have some kind of green color on it. But this right here, man, it looks awesome. I both hope and don't hope that we get a reprint of Absolute Fourth World Volume 1. Oh, Lord, because I may be tempted to buy it. And this is an excellent point, which I always, and I agree with, Rebel by Design, I agree with you. I've debated this as well, but came down on the side that everybody else involved deserves their cut. It's tough without knowing details on how creators are compensated for collected edition. There was one thing, and I don't even mention this creator's name, but because he's just a piece of garbage. But he was one of the creators involved in Justice League International Volumes 1 and 2, the Omnibus. And I do know that for that, they gave money instead of his compensation. They gave money to victims of those things that happen. And anybody can Google what exactly that is or who I'm talking about.
Did they do that with his permission?
I think it was he's in prison. So
well, I know that, but yeah. Yes, but the fact that he's horrible may not null and void.
No. I think I don't know how it came about. I just remember reading about that particular thing that they worked out some kind of deal. Some maybe he's atoning for his sins. I don't know. As
a general rule, and it's not ironclad, but Marvel and DC started paying royalties I believe it was in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a general, anything after the late 70s, those creators are probably getting a cut more often than they're not. So as a general rule, they probably are. Yeah.
I remember Len Wein told me that he got more out of his Lucius Fox contract than he ever made from Wolverine. So it depends on when contracts were signed. And
yeah, absolutely. But this is publishing, and publishing doesn't always pay what you might think it does. Even the creators getting royalties, the actual paycheck they get is not that much. I mean, I think Peter David has said that, you know, most royalty paychecks for him are like grocery money, which is fine. But it's grocery money.
People got to eat.
People got to eat. Yep, absolutely.
Eat. Superman, Batman, Volume 2, collecting the remaining issues of that run that was started by Jeff Loeb and then McGinnis. So this is wrapping up that series. And I want to say that's a Francis Manapul cover, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is an interesting era of Superman, Batman. I'll be honest, I had no idea it went 87 issues. I'll be honest, I've only read up to like issue 56, so a lot of this is new to me that I'll be reading for the first time. But it collects all the annuals and all the issues. So there you go.
Such good recall you have. I stopped with issue 56.
Oh yeah,
I
can't remember to feed my kids. My wife just texted me, "Don't forget to feed the kids," and I was like, "I got it." Now I hope she's not watching because she knows I'm lying. Oh, okay, baby. Thank you. Don't tell your mom. But
and remember to eat.
That's what she's doing. She's like, "I'm making my own lunch. Thanks." Adam Strange, Between Two Worlds, Deluxe Edition.
Now, DC.
This is so it. Like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, DC comes under fire, understandably, because they solicit and then cancel so much. To be fair to them, at least they try. And something like this, I mean, I would presume that there's not an enormous market for Adam Strange. Don't get me wrong. I like Adam Strange. I've been reading Strange Adventures by Tom King, which is really good.
Well, I thought that's what was coming out in Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, well, it was on hardcover. I'm not sure it was a deluxe, but yeah. But Adam was in Krypton, so I like Adam. But the number of warm bodies who will pay for a somewhat forgotten about Adam Strange comics from 1990 and 2004. I mean, it's good that they're trying, you know. So yeah, any of you who are Adam Strange fans, for God's sakes, pre-order this. For God's sakes.
I like this. Because I remember this book setting up the events of the next Adam Strange book, and then all of that set up the Ranthanagar War. Yeah. I dug this era. Yeah. And it's interesting that they're doing this as a deluxe edition. Well, you know what? No, it's a marketing thing. Because Strange Adventures, you're right. I thought it was going to be deluxe, but I didn't put it in here. I'm like, why the hell did I not put it in here? It's issues 1 through 12 for $34.99. Yeah. No way that's deluxe edition. That's a standard size hardcover right there.
I think the higher price point of a deluxe edition is sometimes the only way that something can be collected. I mean, like you look at like the Atlantis Chronicles. I was overjoyed when they finally did it as a deluxe edition.
I know.
As a soft cover, it might not have made the money it needed to make. So yeah.
So interesting that they're doing this because it collects both of that miniseries, the Adam Strange series from 2004, which, like I said, sets up the Ranthanagar War, and then the issues. By the way. No, those are in there. I was going to say, if you're trying to fill in those missing issues of JLA, they're in the Mark Waid deluxe edition.
I recall the 2004 series being good. I mean, I'm sure this is good. It's just, yeah.
Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Omnibus. Yes! Oh, yes. So, I love Eastman and I love Laird. But I really hope that we get Freddie Williams on the cover. I like his art a little more. I know that probably is blasphemous to a lot of people, but Freddie Williams just has this anime cartoonish style with like a mix of like American Western style cross hatching. I love it. It's great. So I hope that, I don't know, that might be the cover. You know what? Regardless, I'll still get it. I can't wait for this series. I didn't get the deluxe editions. I have the trade of the first two, so I'm excited. Have either of you read this stuff?
Read the first one, yeah.
I
really enjoyed it.
Never quite get around to reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in comics. I just you can only read so much. So yeah.
You never read Turtles in comics?
Not in comic form.
Oh, Lars, you haven't lived, man. You need to get on that. You need to get on that run, baby. That stuff is good.
I know. I'm broken inside.
The originals.
Yeah.
This could be your first omnibus. You prefer deluxe edition. You can get this omnibus, man. It's good.
Okay.
But honestly, the IDW. Have you read the IDW run, Marcus? The Turtles.
Yeah, I've read the first part, but I've also read, do you know the Ultimate Collections that they did of like the original issues?
Yes, I got those. Those are
The
classic.
black and white ones. I love them. Like that first issue is just insane. And I remember I bought that when it was coming out, so it must have been, I can't remember how old I was, but I didn't really know too much about Turtles comics. And then I read that, and the first issue is just like completely insane, and it's such a good time. I've never read a bad Turtles comic, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not saying that there isn't any. I just haven't read any that are bad.
I think, to me, that my favorite incarnation is the IDW run. Like, to me, that's better than the animated series, the original Eastman and Laird, the CG cartoon from 2013, or the movies. I love it. I think it's awesome. And it does help that Eastman is the co-plotter of that. Go ahead, Lars.
Not to name drop. I mean, I have played billiards with Kevin Eastman at Comic-Con.
And you're not reading any of his books, man?
No, no. It was kind of by accident, really, because, I mean, when you worked for Wizard, you just wound up in strange pools of comic creators. And so we were at Comic-Con playing billiards, and we were just having a good time. Everyone's having a good time. And finally, I was like, who's that guy over there? I mean, he was playing with us. And they're like, oh, that's Kevin Eastman. And I was like, that would be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy. Okay.
He seems like a really cool dude.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I hope with The Last Ronin as well. Like, I hope with that they actually do some kind of absolute edition with it because of how many variant covers there are. Do an absolute for or whatever you want to call it. Just give me a slipcase for it.
That could be a nice bookend to the IDW stuff. The hardcover.
Such a great run so far.
Solid. Gen 13 starting over. So collecting the original Gen 13, originally called Gen X, but they changed the name because of obvious reasons. But collecting, it looks like Gen 13 1 through 5. That's the very first mini series that introduced the characters, and then some one shots, and then the second series 0 through 5. So I hope what they include is all 13 variant covers. I love the Janet Jackson cover. That was my favorite one. I wanted to say that was Jason Pearson with, was it Fairchild, I think? Oh, man. It was a fun series. A lot of memories of trying to pick up the first issues at pharmacies, like because you couldn't find these books at comic stores. It was so high in demand and sold out. So I had to go to like the drive around to pharmacies around town to try to find the next issues. And I finally found all 5 of the original. And I remember selling them for a pretty penny too at one time. I have no idea what they're going for these days, but Flash by Jeff Johns. Surprised this actually is coming, but hey, cool. I thought these issues would have been added in the Flashpoint Omnibus, but much to my surprise, they decided to make it a Flash by Jeff Johns Omnibus. So wrapping up Jeff Johns' run on Flash, this is when a certain character comes back and takes the role of Flash and leads into Flashpoint. And does this also collect Flashpoint? It does. So if
there you go.
If you're into double dipping, this is for you. If you're not, you may just want to get this instead of the Flashpoint Omnibus to get the big story.
That's a great marketing point. This is so good, you'll pay for it twice.
If it's Jeff Johns, I will. Man, so this is pretty interesting that they're doing this, but very cool. They had their chance to do all those orphaned issues that were pre-Infinite Crisis, but they still have not collected those. Oh, well. All-Star Superman. Heck yeah, Deluxe Edition. One of the best Grant Morrison and Superman stories, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Great introduction to the character if you're trying to get into Superman or trying to get a friend into Superman and what Superman stands for. Solid.
As well. Sorry.
No, I will be getting this because like the level of patience I have sometimes is just stupid because for years and years now I've been like, I'm going to wait to buy this when they collect all of it in a hardcover because they did the 2 separate ones. They did the 2 little hardcovers and then they did a collected soft cover and like I'm going to hold out until they finally do a collected hardcover. And here it is. Here it is. The Lord provides.
The DC gods listened.
The DC gods listened.
Now, 2 books that were in the catalog, cannot find them in the catalog anymore, but just wanted to put them there in case they bring them back out, and that is Wonder Woman: The Golden Age Omnibus Volume 5. I mean, surely with the Silver Age, we're going to get the Golden Age, right? Like to wrap up the Golden Age.
Hope so.
And then Superman the Golden Age Volume 7 also taken out of the catalog, but hopefully that just means they're reshuffling the dates, because both of these are out of the catalog and showing a date of 2074 on Amazon. But hopefully. And that is
Brave and the Bold and Justice League. I mean, these could boomerang back at any time.
Yes, but Justice League took like 3 years, I think, but it finally is coming. Now, what's the book you guys are most excited about? We'll do a quick little run through here of the Omnis and the Deluxe Editions. The Deluxe Editions will be on your left, the Omnis are on your right. And what's the one book everybody in the chat is most excited about? Don't forget to hit that like button. What about you guys? Marcus.
Maddogg.
One book, Marcus. It better be a New 52, since that's apparently your jam.
It feels like it should be, but for me, I had such good memories when I first read Batman No Man's Land. And I've been waiting, and I collected the trade paperbacks, and I was like, you know what, this belongs in an omnibus, and I committed. I did the thing that, you know, you said I shouldn't have done, but as soon as they brought Road to No Man's Land out, I was like, great, I'll sell off me No Man's Land trade paperback. So the fact that we're getting that, and hopefully a volume 2 won't be far behind, but that to me is, I might end up changing my mind on this, but that is the best comic book event to me, because it shouldn't have worked. Nothing about that concept should have worked, but it does, and it's great. So I'd say that. I'm looking forward to revisiting it.
Seeing a lot of answers I'll be highlighting here in a second. So No Man's Land. You know that wasn't the New 52, right?
Yeah.
Any Doom Patrol guys? Are you asking if there's Doom Patrol coming out, or are we Doom Patrol guys?
No Doom Patrol.
I am a Doom Patrol guy. I like Doom Patrol a lot.
At least in omnibus format, no Doom Patrol or in Compendium or Absolute Edition, sadly.
Don't think so.
Not even Deluxes.
Well, they should do it. They should do a omnibus of Gerard Way's run. I mean, that seems like an obvious one to me. But
do they have enough material though?
I think it's only 2 trade paperbacks.
Three.
I think. Yeah,
it'd be small, but
yeah, not like they wouldn't be against that. What about you, Lars? What are you most excited about here?
If
you had to pick one book.
Oh, just one. Deathstroke by Christopher Priest.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
I mean,
super excited for that one too.
Christopher Priest will make me read characters I normally care about. I just, by coincidence, I'd read a lot of Black Panther by Christopher Priest some years ago, and recently I thought I should finish that out, and so I actually started over, and I read the whole thing in Marvel Unlimited, and oh my God, fantastic. So now if they would just do a Black Panther by Christopher Priest omnibus, then my life would be complete. But yeah, this is really good.
Like you can retire?
Yeah, I can retire. I mean, just Priest's attitude of taking Deathstroke and doing it as a family drama, that, you know, the whole shtick is
man.
This is a man who is utterly incapable of telling his children that he loves them, and will just go to stupid lengths to spend time with them. Absolutely crazy. But it works. It works brilliantly. So, Omar, how many kids do you have?
I have 2 kiddos.
You have 2 kiddos. Maddogg, any for you?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I'll just go. Omar, have you ever taken out a hit on your own children just so you could spend time with them?
Not yet.
Okay, so you are not yet as evil as Deathstroke. Okay, good.
No, I don't think anybody is.
No.
Batwoman is.
They could do Priest, Black Panther, 2 Omnis. That would be my preference. I would prefer 2 Omnis of everything Priest is. And there was a follow-up series called, oh my God, what was it called?
The miniseries of Christopher Priest run.
There was a mini when he finished Black Panther. The Crew.
Oh yeah.
I think it was called The Crew, which I thought was also quite good as well. So I'd hope they'd include that. Yeah. Priest is very good. There's nobody like him.
He's amazing.
The Crew, yeah. Thank you.
So for me, I have to go with Batwoman Omnibus.
Okay.
That's one that I've wanted for a long time, and now that they're doing it. So how much? Oh, this is a good question. How much did Greg Rucka write in Batwoman? So sadly, both J.H. Williams and Greg Rucka are left for different reasons. Greg Rucka wrote all the Detective Comics, and I want to say oh my goodness, was it the first 3 or 4 issues of the? He didn't write very much of the New 52. Then J.H. Williams left because they would not let. Oh no, that'll spoil something. They wouldn't let him do something with the character that he wanted to do, and DC was like, "No, we're not doing that."
Is that the thing that led to them also messing up a bit of Aquaman? Is it? Are we thinking about the same thing?
Oh yes, the same.
Yeah,
the DC.
Yeah.
Yes. But this is a phenomenal run. If you have not read it, it's fun. It's the artwork alone is the selling point of this.
Yeah,
I can't lie though. I got a bit nervous when I saw that Batwing got cancelled, and I'm like, don't follow suit with Batwoman. Like,
God,
I'm like, sacrifice to win overall, but just give us Batwoman.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a Batwoman TV show. Batwoman is all Williams Rucka stuff. Yeah. Again, Rucka wrote the Detective Comics issues, and then J.H. pretty much drew most of this, and then wrote Batwoman issues.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah,
Williams wrote everything else. I really thought they took Rucka's plot for the first 4 issues of. I want to know it wasn't much, but then J.H. ran with it. It's 888 pages for. I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, it's Corky was asking. 888 pages and retails for $99. So looking through here,
so a little cheaper. Yeah.
Batwoman. People are excited for Batwoman, Deathstroke, Swamp Thing, and Flash Volume 3, Starman, Fables 3 and 4, Deathstroke. Oh yeah, Starman for the win, my man. There are a lot of books I want from DC too. No Man's Land, Swamp Thing Volume 3, Preacher Omnibus 2, Batwoman definitely, and New 52 Justice League. That's one, honestly, it's Jim Lee. I can't say no to Jim Lee. Lars, this is a question for you. Since you're not an omnibus guy, can I take those books behind you off your hands?
Well, I am not. When it comes to comics, I am not strictly monogamous, and so although I prefer deluxe editions, I also do like omnibuses as well in the right time and place. Now, funnily enough, I kind of prefer omnibuses up to about the 750, 800 page mark, because again, up to that point, I can kind of treat it like a large book. When it starts to get higher than that, then it becomes this enormous monstrosity that I have to get my book stand out to, open it properly and read it. So Books of Magic is a good example of that. They're not small. So yes. No, I do have omnibuses. There we go. Yeah.
So he does have them.
I do.
First of the deluxe.
I do.
I have trade paperbacks. I prefer omnis.
So Omar, did you leave out just the standard hardcovers?
I did.
Okay, fine. Yeah, because I saw a few on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about including the standard size hardcovers and trade paperbacks, maybe for another episode.
It gets to be a lot.
But yeah, this would have been bogged down since that's what they primarily are printing. Whereas Marvel, the omnibus was like 67 of them, I think.
Ooh.
And this wasn't. Yeah.
Well, how many of those are reprints? They do a lot of reprints, don't they?
They are doing a lot of reprints. We only have one reprint from DC so far, and that's the Jack Kirby's Fourth World omnibus. Yeah. But Marvel, I want to say almost if a third of those are reprints. It's a good time to get into collecting these things.
No kidding.
They're making it so much easier.
Yeah.
For people to get into. Man, I love those covers of the Fables Compendium. Those are great.
They are very good.
Well, I'll be reviewing the Justice League Dark in a Robe with a cauldron on the background. Sure, I'll be behind the camera, so you can just picture me in anything.
Don't worry, I do.
I shouldn't have said that. Damn it. Deathstroke by Christopher Priest. Solid, man. I can't wait for that. So most of these I'll be doing an overview of, and I'll probably be getting those Fables books so people can see what they look like and then giving them away. I don't know about. I did end up just getting the Batman Arkham Asylum Absolute, so it's a great story for those that haven't read it and can't or don't want the Absolute route. The Deluxe Edition is wonderful. Milestone Compendium for sure. That's up there in my top 3 this year from DC.
No, you're right. We live in great times. We're kind of living. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches, frankly. There's always something that you're like, it's not in print, or it's going for $400 or whatever, and you really, really want it. But my God, just even focusing on the new stuff could.
I'm that way too. Like, when people ask me, they're like, Omar, should I spend money on this, or do you think it'll be reprinted? I always tell people the same thing. I'm like, if you wait around, it might be reprinted. For sure. Just don't know when.
Well, yeah.
I do the same thing, though, because I'm like, I ask myself, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm looking at manga that's out of print. I'm like, oh, God, I hope it comes back into print. And then I FOMO myself. I'm like, no, it's never coming back. I got to buy it now. I have to have it now. And then I don't read it. I put it on my shelf for years. And I'm like, oh, probably should have waited for a reprint.
It will be reprinted. It may not be in the format you want, because Fables, they're focusing on, I happen to have the Fables Deluxe Editions. And do I think those are getting reprinted? Probably not. If you just want to read Fables, then fine. But if you're looking to collect those, then I wouldn't hold my breath on that. They probably won't.
Yeah.
Or the odds aren't great.
People are thinking there might not be, since they didn't call it Milestone Compendium Volume 1. Oh, you mean a Volume 2 of Milestone Compendium? I hope so. Could you stop at the jump?
Really, that's an oversight.
Yeah, I can stop there, man. Let me what was it, Gen 13 in the Superman Batman book? It's later on this year. And at this moment, I just want to remind everybody to don't forget to hit the like button and check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com. Get books up to 50% off and tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way for a free promotional credit on your next shipping order. And trying to find the Superman Batman, I think, is December. I should have this memorized by now. There it is. There's your Superman Batman book. And it's the Omnibus Volume 2, wrapping up this era of Superman. And you said Gen 13? There's Gen 13 starting over, so collecting the first 5-issue miniseries, the second or the ongoing series, as well as a bunch of one-shots, but it's only issue 0 through 5. Was there a Gen 13 Absolute Edition? This would have benefited from oversized artwork. I like Jeffrey. This is Jeffrey Scott Campbell's first work.
I'm not sure there was. Was there?
Actually, his first published work was in an issue of Nintendo Power magazine.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
He entered the contest of create your own video game. He designed his own video game. It was pretty cool. Omar, doing a Loki spoiler show. As a matter of fact, yes, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the amazing Amanda and I will be back doing a live show talking about Loki episode 1. So join us for that.
It's so weird how it's not coming out on it's already out into Loki.
It came out today. Omar,
I thought it was going to be a Friday.
I know they switched it to Wednesday. Are Harrow County restock dates for direct market only or for the book market as well? I think for both. Volume 4 is gone, by the way. Like, I don't know how the heck that happened, but or maybe they didn't print enough. But Volume 4 is sold out at the distribution center. So if you're looking for one, trying to get them all, at least buy Volume 4 first. Just giving you all a heads up. I hate for anybody to miss that series that has been looking forward to it. All right, let me stop sharing. Come back to us. But yeah, that's it. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me, and thank you everybody for being here, part of the chat. It's a lot of fun to do and put together. Thank you, Marcus, for helping me put this together, man. And for
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, man. It's a pleasure. It's my pleasure. And we'll be doing the Marvel comics sometime. I hope maybe this week, maybe next. I don't know. We'll see. But for the people that are asking, there's going to be written documentation. Actually, Marcus is also helping me with that as well. Be available on Patreon, and I'll probably put it in the description of the video as well. Marcus, when you're not hanging out with me, Mad Dog, what are you doing, buddy? Where can people find you?
So you can find me over on Maddogg Comics on YouTube. I've got some kind of dumb videos coming up in the future. Like I'm going to talk about I'm going to do my top 10 dumbest choices for who might be the new Sorcerer Supreme after everything that Marvel's just announced. And I've just done a room tour, and I just do what I fancy on there. So there might be something that you enjoy. But I've also got me Instagram, which is Maddogg Comics. Oh, it's there. I can never get my depth perception right when I'm on these. But yeah, that's where I am. And hopefully I'll see you guys on there. But I want to say again, thank you, Mr. Omar, for having me on the channel. It's always like, you know, I still can't believe that I'm on here sometimes. Like, sometimes I'm just watching and I forget that I'm actually on here because, you know, been watching for so many years. It's still kind of surreal. So I just want to say a massive thank you again.
And can you taste the electricicity?
Oh,
only because I like batteries to wake up.
You're very welcome, man. You deserve to be here. You're a lot of fun. You have a lot of insight, and you come at things from a different perspective and angle because you know you grew up in a different generation. So my classic stories are different than your classic stories. Your classic stories are New 52. That's why it's your jam.
And the time difference
it makes
as well.
me feel super old. But yeah, everybody go check out Maddogg. Show him some love.
Thank
What
you
about
for
you?
still old and leathery. Yes.
What about you, Mr. Lars Pearson? Where you're not even on social media? Like you had to get like a third party to reach out to me, which was adorable.
Yes. I'm on Facebook, but I'm not on Twitter. And it seemed like you were primarily on Twitter, so I had a Twitter friend reach out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know. That's how it seemed to work. For a number of years, I run a company called Mad Norwegian Press, and we do a bunch of guidebooks and essay books, and we occasionally did novels. Kind of without intending to, I wound up being a Doctor Who expert. So anybody who's interested in Doctor Who, this gets a bit extreme. I actually co-wrote with Lance Parkin the Doctor Who timeline. It's called A History, and it is, God help us, over 1 million words. Over 1 million words.
Wow!
I know. So many words. And you just stand back and look at that and go, well, that's glorious. Was that necessary? Was that? But it is glorious. So you can find us there. And I'm at the stage in my career where I'm toiling with a lot of stuff that I'm doing under a pen name and things like that for reasons. Just nothing insidious, just reasons. So yeah, but look if you're interested in Doctor Who particularly, look me up. A History. Which favorite Doctor? Oh, well, is it controversial to name Sylvester McCoy? I really am a big Sylvester McCoy fan. I hope that's the correct answer.
Seventh Doctor?
Omar, very good. Very good.
And you think I just read comics? I watch Doctor Who too. Well, I haven't watched the current last season, but I grew up with Tom Baker because of PBS in America.
Sure.
But mine is probably David Tennant. What about you, dude? You're over there, dude. Where do they make that? Maddogg?
Yeah, Maddogg. You're authentic Doctor Who fan. We're just fake.
Authentic.
So,
we're just fake fans, man.
No, weirdly, Doctor Who's the one thing that I completely missed the train for. Like when it started back up, when it was the guy who was also in Heroes. Like do you remember when it first came back in 2005?
Christopher.
Who am I thinking of?
Eccleston?
Yeah, Christopher Eccleston, was it?
Yeah.
Like. I kept intending to watch it, but it was just on at a weird time because obviously I had school. So like I could just never catch it. And then I missed the train. And then I turned around and there's like 8 new seasons. And I'm like, I don't know what I can do there. So I might actually check out your work because it might actually help me to get into it because I keep feeling like I should watch it, but I just completely missed the train when it was at the station, unfortunately.
You were in school. Thank you for once more slipping that dagger
Yeah.
How old we are. It's lovely to hear. Lovely.
I do appreciate that.
Joanna Lumley. We should all be so lucky to have Joanna Lumley as the Doctor. My God, she'd be fantastic. And of course, she was the Doctor in Spoof, but yeah.
I was a big David Tennant fan, and I think Matt Smith was great. Capaldi was took me a while to get into Capaldi though. But David Tennant for the win. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But thank you. Oh my gosh, Phil Owens has been watching Doctor Who since 1969. The first 5 Doctors are my favorite. My goodness. And it's so sad of how much footage, how much of that stuff has been lost, right?
Yeah.
Like I know
97 episodes. I
think once every couple of years, somebody will find it at somebody's grandma's house, like a copy or something. And I love that. I love hearing things like that.
The richest source to find them has actually been overseas TV stations or relay stations. So the most recent find came from Nigeria. because because there was a deliberate policy to destroy
Was
these.
there a prince of Nigeria and millions of dollars?
No. Thankfully, no. But there was a disused TV relay station involved, and there's a deliberate policy to destroy these tapes. And so the countries who are, I'd say, Canada very diligently just sent them back, and they were destroyed. And Australia, for the most part, destroyed them. But Nigeria was reshuffling its TV system, so there was just a bunch left on a shelf, which was very helpful.
And there you go. You all got a little extra Doctor Who talk at the end. But yes, Lars will have to come back and share stories of Wizard Magazine, because I miss Wizard Magazine and I miss magazines. Like, obviously, I'm a guy that's in the physical format, and the internet has kind of killed a lot of that stuff. And we can talk about that, because I think that would be a really fun episode to talk about how all that has affected. I used to write magazine articles, and I remember when the magazine got canceled because of the internet. And
I mean, whatever Wizard's faults, when it went under, I mean, comic book feature writing and hard journalism on comics has never been the same. It just never has.
Yeah, idiots on YouTube making YouTube videos.
Right.
Believe everything I say.
Yeah, well, but I mean, because the hardcore feature writing that Wizard did really, really well is not cheap. It has to be paid for. And people aren't always willing to pay for it. They want to get all their information for free. And, it's fine. I'm not even being critical of it. I'm just saying it has to be paid for. So that's what I miss, is just the terrific feature writing that Wizard did. And occasionally another entity will do it, like, one will pop up on Reddit or whatever. But for the most part, it's just not done.
It is a different world, but I would love to talk to you about that sometime. If you're willing to come back. And
Omar, it's been fun. Maddogg, it's been fun.
I'm glad you were here. Everybody, have a wonderful day. I will be back at 8 p.m. Tonight, Eastern Standard.